Brazilian Grand Prix was full of interesting and rather bizarre events, and while many have been preoccupied with processing the Verstappen-Hamilton and Verstappen-Perez accidents, as well as the Mercedes 1-2 win, there has been a rather bizarre incident that could have ended a lot worse than it did. The damage that has been done because of the safety car restart anomaly cost Yuki Tsunoda 2 places, and it goes without saying that the FIA hasn't managed to conduct a safety car restart properly. AlphaTauri's boss had a lot to say about this situation, and to say that he isn't happy with how things have transpired is just an understatement. There were 2 safety cars during the Interlagos GP in 2022, with the second one being more interesting due to the fact that it was in the ending stages of the race and fights for positions were still ongoing. The field was brought closer after Norris's car, which decided to just stop working all of a sudden in the middle of the track, was removed and the race was able to resume safely. However, in order for the race to resume, there is a new rule that has been implemented as of 2021 after the controversial finale in Abu Dhabi. After Michael Masi allowed just a couple of cars to unlap themselves in the last lap of Abu Dhabi due to the fact that he wanted one fair and square lap of clean racing between the 2 main championship candidates Verstappen and Hamilton, lots of backlash started to transpire against the FIA. Therefore, a new rule has been implemented regarding the lapped cars, and now, prior to the restart of the race, the lapped cars are allowed to unlap themselves, and the starting grid will be perfectly lined up for the restart. However, one couldn't help but wonder what in the world was the AlphaTauri of Tsunoda doing between the leaders of the race. And when the other lapped cars of Albon and Latifi were blue flagged thanks to the new software that now allows all lapped cars to unlap themselves, Tsunoda wasn't allowed to do this for some reason. But there is a bizarre reason for this event's transpiring, and before we go to the reason itself that will surely make you laugh, let me tell you about Established Titles, an incredible company that is preserving the natural woodlands of Scotland and helping with global reforestation. This amazing last-minute gift makes you the owner of 1 square foot of land in Edleston, Scotland, and Established Titles plants a tree with the global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. That's great, but this gift offers even more. There is an old Scottish tradition of calling landowners lairds, which is a lord or lady to those of you who don't live in 15th century Scotland. By gifting someone land in Scotland, you give them the right to call themselves a lord or lady, and they get a certificate to prove it. You can add lord or lady to your credit card, plane tickets, or even your FIA super license. You do have one, don't you? The first 200 people who purchase a title pack using our link will get their plot pretty much directly next to mine. This isn't just an amazing last-minute gift, we could also start our own little Scottish kingdom. Established Titles is actually running a massive Black Friday sale right now. Plus, if you use the code F1Reverse, you'll get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/F1Reverse to get your gifts now and help support the channel. If you bought an Established Titles product with our code, let us know in the comments below so we can shout you out by your proper title. Anyway, back to Tsunoda and the ensuing backlash for the FIA. So, when the safety car was deployed, Tsunoda was right behind Russell, who was leading the race. However, the Japanese driver decided to pit for new tyres, and in the process of entering the pit lane, Tsunoda briefly passed Russell and practically unlapped himself. After the pit stop, Tsunoda emerged in 6th place behind Russell, Albon, Hamilton, Perez and Sainz. Latifi was just behind him, with the Canadian being the 3rd car that was supposed to unlap itself prior to the race restart. Now, by briefly passing Russell in the pit lane while the Briton was driving slowly due to the yellow flag situation and the safety car waiting for him just after the center corner, Tsunoda had created a very unique and bizarre situation that had not been yet anticipated. According to the automated system that blue flags the lapped cars by itself, Tsunoda was ineligible to unlap himself. This could have ended very badly for Tsunoda, and luckily for him, he was instructed to just park in the back of the track and wait for all of the cars to pass him. However, this incident cost him 2 places and he wasn't able to fight both Williams cars thanks to the anomaly itself. When we saw the message "lapped cars may now overtake," the numbers of Latifi and Albon were the only ones mentioned. And it goes without saying that Tsunoda tried to complete his unlapping too. However, his engineer was also confused about the situation, and when he gave him the order to unlap himself, he said, "You can overtake lapped, stand by, stand by." In this confusion, Tsunoda was able to pass Sainz, but then stopped behind Perez. At the same time, Latifi was able to pass him and continue on past the front-running cars. Therefore, he lost a position to Latifi and lost a potential battle with Albon, which would have likely been won by Tsunoda due to the fact that he had much fresher tyres and the AlphaTauri is a better overall performing car than the Williams. Although the fight wasn't for points, it just goes to show that this system is yet again flawed and that these mistakes can be much more costly than one could have originally anticipated. Tsunoda was again given the order to not overtake, and the frustration was felt in the Japanese driver's voice, who clearly had no idea what was going on the track. Then, Tsunoda gave his position back to Sainz, and the restart happened with Tsunoda separating the other pursuers from Sainz. However, the Japanese driver made a smart move and just parked on the side of the track so that all of the cars could pass him correctly. Just because he's got his race ruined doesn't mean that he will ruin the race for the other drivers. When asked about this situation, Tsunoda and Franz Tost, the bosses of AlphaTauri, had a very fierce response, with Tost being quite unique. "I got told that you have to stay in line. I don't know why. Probably the FIA thinks I was fighting for P5 or something like that." Franz Tost's frustration was so intense that he refused to comment on this response. But it was clear that it really grinded his gears, as the anger was visible in his actions and movements. Nevertheless, the automated system was never intended to handicap a driver in such a way, or leave a lapped car stuck in the middle of the pack in such circumstances. But the governing body insists on the fact that no mistakes were made, and a statement came from their side too as a response to the AlphaTauri's anger. All of the systems functioned correctly and according to the regulations. The unusual situation arose as a result of the idiosyncrasies of the specific circuit and scenario, which were as follows. Car 22 was the first to cross SC1, following the deployment of the safety car. On the next lap, he became the first car to cross the SC1 line for the second time, which would normally signal the systems that he's eligible to unlap. However, at this time, he entered the pit lane and was able to go faster than the train of cars behind the safety car. In doing so, he unlapped himself when crossing the control line in the pit lane. When he rejoined the circuit, the systems correctly indicated that he was again a lap down. But as he had already unlapped himself once, he was not eligible to do so again when the safety car period was ending. Still, the FIA agrees that it is a very unusual scenario and that in situations like this, there must be a human factor involved. It wouldn't be hard to give Tsunoda a mark, a blue flag on the side of the track, or just a straight order that he should unlap himself, because he could have been in a position to fight for even better positions. That is why the FIA said that situations like this will be processed and approached differently in the future, and they also added that the outcome of the Brazilian Grand Prix will be discussed at future Sporting Advisory Committee meetings, as part of the normal review procedures. With that being said, it's safe to say that the automation process in Formula 1 is flawed, not because they signaled what they did, since they were correct to do so, but because not doing the right thing after the obvious outcome was bizarre. What do you think about this whole situation? Let us know in the comments below.